All right, give me a second to get in. What's going on, beautiful people? It is day 9 and you might notice I'm wearing the same clothes as I was wearing in the last video because I am disgusting. Although it's day 9, it's actually after lunchtime because I've been working on another tank, but something's come in the post. And let me draw your attention to this area here. Oh look, the Malawi Cichlid tank is no more. All the hardscapes down there. Very interesting substrate design we've got going on, but it'll all make sense when it comes to the tank. All the Malawis are fine, apart from the fact that they are absolutely tearing up the tanks that they're in. They're in that one. I've got the rest in this one and this one. And I think it's the Cynodontist or the Hoplos, or the Bristlenose actually, just stirring up all the sand whilst they're getting settled in. Look at that big boy. But anyway, look what has arrived in the post. This is an auto water top-off system, apparently. I mean, it's pretty small. I think you've got to provide your own tank for it to come, like, draw from, obviously. But yeah, it looks pretty simple. It was £50 or $60, 55 euros, whatever, which, you know, isn't cheap, really, but I wanted to get something that worked. Not that the other one didn't work, it just didn't work, the Pepsi one. It didn't work for this volume of tank. It's not designed for it. But we gave it a try and then we stepped up our game. So let's take a look at this. Why am I juggling it so much? Oh my goodness, it's so bright today, but I now have a secret weapon. La 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 la. And I can now film to my heart's content with no issue. It also means that I can film the 8-foot whenever I want. Hang on, one of the lights has gone off. Oh yeah, it's the end of the day nearly. Most of the lights will go off soon, but we've still got so much to do. That's a lot of boxes. Okay, I know there's a load of box throwing and rubbish throwing there, but I do that for a reason. Like, I just get everything out of the way, apart from the things that I actually need to work on. There's a decent amount of stuff here, to be fair, and this is that really high quality squidgy tubing, so that is good. I mean, you'd expect higher quality for the pricing, wouldn't you? Even this little pump feels a lot better than the usual ones you get of that size. 217 litres per hour. 200 centimetre maximum height, which is 2 metres, so we'll be absolutely fine. Yeah, so I think this is one where I should actually read the instructions, put it together and explain how it works afterwards, because I don't want to mess this up and come in one morning, it's just, all the water's just everywhere. Right, I've sussed it out. It's actually pretty simple. So you've got your pump that goes to this little junction box, which gives it power. Then you've got another wire, which is obviously the sensor that goes to the float. Then you've got your hose with a check valve on the end that can attach inside the tank as well, which then connects to the pump. When the signal's sent that the water level's low, the pump turns on, sends the water up, trickles it in. When it activates the top float to say that it's enough, it cuts the power off. Nice and simple. I just need a vessel now for the water. And I mean, it's not like I haven't got any to choose from. That's a lot of Nano tanks. I'm gonna use them all at some point though. And here is the space that I've got to work with, so lots. And it works out as 80 in width, 40 in depth, about 50 high, which to be fair, is the exact dimensions of that tank. But I don't want to waste the tank just for putting water in. I can just use a tub, can't I? Yeah, I've got this empty box out here, which needs cleaning, but you know, it'll hold water, won't it? I wasn't expecting to be cleaning a tub this afternoon. Right, water supply sorted, kit figured out. I'm gonna get it all fitted now. Probably easy to unplug it all and then redo it when it's in its spot. And then we should be good for that perfect water level moving forwards. You can already see since I last filled it up. Can you, hang on. That's 3 or 4 days worth of evaporation. And before you smart cookies comment, I know I'm still gonna have to top up the top up. But what that does mean is the actual tank itself is going to stay self-sufficient and looking perfect for longer. I think this tub's going to last a good couple of weeks. I mean, time will tell. So there's quite a bit of movement over this side of the tank with the flow disturbing the surface. Not a huge amount, and I'm not sure if that makes much of a difference. But I'm going to put it on this side anyway, completely still, more accurate. Okay, everything is fitted, everything's switched on as far as I can tell. So if the water level drops, it should bring the bottom float down, and that means it should fill, right? Well, let's try it. So bottom float down. Yay, I heard it click on and it fills up. Oh, and it goes off again when the float gets up to the right area of the sensor. It's so easy. I can't believe that. Like, I've actually wanted to do this for quite some time, but I've always been put off by thinking, oh, it's complicated, or it could like not work and could take age. Like, how fast was that? Like, I did it in 5 minutes. Might be something that I want to do on my big 8-foot tank, because that one loses water fast and takes ages to fill up fast because it's a bigger surface area. Yeah, like I filled above the line you can see there that's just creeping in about a week ago. But the thing is, I've got all of these cabinets down here. I've got a filter in this one here, and I've got a filter in this one this side, but the other two have got nothing in at all. So I could put like a big, yeah, I might order another one now. Oh yeah, an update on the AQUARIAs. Look, we still have babies. Is there less though? There might be, although they are, no, they're all on the floor. There's absolutely tons of them there. And this is the biggest I've ever got them to sort of grow. I've been feeding them powdered food, so I've been like pestle and mortaring up food, so it's just tiny, tiny, tiny and fine, and it seems to be working. And the AQUARIA, the parents, they seem to be able to defend this area really well. So hopefully, fingers crossed. I mean, I'd be happy with just a couple that get big enough, but Kate said, why don't you take out all the other fish? Well, that would be impossible to catch them in here at the moment. Like, I'd have to take apart the scape. I'll give this time a try, and if it fails, I think next time, that's what I'll probably do. Or I could even put these two in their own tank and just let it happen, couldn't I? Yeah, we'll do that if it fails, make them a breeding tank. So we are on day 11, and this is the first day that I've noticed some significant changes, actually. Obviously, it's been happening the whole time, but like noticeable. The first thing to note is that all of the plants are growing. For example, if we look down here at the Halampion tenellum, all of those bright green leaves are brand new, and it's trying to send runners as well. For instance, this whole outcrop is all brand new growth that has come from the middle section. That's why it's, again, all sort of vibrant and green. Perfect example there is that runner that the plant is sending, which means that it won't be too long until it's covering everywhere. If we've had that much sort of new additional growth in just 11 days, by a month, it should have covered the whole surface of the substrate. And surprisingly, the crypts are doing really well. I say surprisingly because sometimes when you put crypts in, they just melt off and then you only get the new growth, but the old leaves are staying decent. Then if you look just in the center there, there's a new leaf coming up, a brand new underwater growing leaf, which means they're really liking the substrate system. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. It's just gonna look gorgeous when they all start sort of sprouting. What happens is you tend to get a few leaves like this and everything, and then before you know it, everything goes nuts. The limnophilia at the back, look, is now as high as the surface skimmer. So I think I'll give it another 4 more days. It'll be near the surface. I can trim it and then replant it to thicken out that section even more. The Ludwigia has got really red tips now. That's growing decently. Going to take a little bit more time. But once it gets going, another plant that's really quick. And you can just about see the growth on the HR at the back there. Obviously, it's lower light right down there, so it takes a little bit longer. But they've got nice, thick, submersed leaves on them. They're going to sprout up very quickly as well. The most recent plant put in just a few days ago was the Rotala Wallichi. And look at those tips. That's all the new underwater growth. So this is growing really well. Don't know if the camera's picking it up, but at the moment there's just a little bit of algae on the glass. It's not huge. I'm just gonna leave it because I want to see how it goes. You know, if it just like clears itself up, it makes sense actually because it's only over this part of the tank here. Now there's extra light coming from that tank, and then this side is where all the floating plants are sitting, so that actually makes sense. You can sort of see it a bit better when you look down from the side of the tank. We've got some tannins released, obviously. As you can see there, there's a slight yellow tinge to the tank, but I'm just gonna leave it. Hopefully it clears itself. It probably won't though, because tannins don't tend to come out of the water unless you're changing the water. Obviously it's particles, I'm assuming it's particles anyway, but which won't evaporate, only proper pure water evaporates. Minerals and sediment and things like that is left behind. But for now, I don't want to spoil anything by changing it or having to do anything, because the whole point is that it's self-sustaining. And if I'm cleaning the glass every 2 seconds and changing out the water, that's not really the point of it, is it? One plant that's not doing well though is up here. Look, you can see that the Amazon frog bit is just kind of like, oh, hang on, let me turn down the brightness if I can. Yeah, you can see it's got those sort of whitish leaves and they're sort of rotting away. And I think that is because it's such powerful lighting in this area that the leaves don't like it. So all that's going to do is put excess nutrients in the water, and that's the complete opposite of what we want them to do. So I'll take those out. But I'll tell you a plant that is doing well, look, is the red root floaters. Look at all these new shoots coming up, all red as well. So all of the redder sort of ones you can see dotted about are new. And the green ones were what they were like originally. Now, red root floaters, they really like high lighting, more like pure midday sun. And that is what we're getting with the Lamini lights. And that is why it's probably too strong for the mini water lettuce. But not to worry, at least we've put 2 in to see which one works, and we'll go with the red root floaters. And they're even starting to get some of those red roots coming. That takes a little bit of time, but it will happen. And the auto top up, that's been running for several days now. And as you can see, perfectly level. It's actually a joy that you don't even have to worry about it. If I only had like 2 or 3 tanks in my home, I'd definitely get this for every single one of them. It just keeps it looking good all the time. Aquara tank fry update. We have still got lots. They're back there at the moment. It seems to be this area they just keep them in, which is good. They're learning, because in previous times, they'd taken them all over the tank, and that was what tended to be like the problem. This is the biggest I've ever actually had a Aquara fry. Hopefully things can continue as it is, but I think there is probably a little less than there were. I mean, that's bound to happen, but that could just be that, I can't see them all that great. Chunks is being a good boy and staying all the way over his side. He doesn't even contend to go over there. If he goes near, they charge out at him, and even though he's like 4 times as big, he's so gentle that he doesn't worry. He moves back. He doesn't even fight them. Just very chilled. The treatment for the other Aquaras seems to be going quite well, starting to get some good colour back now. So I moved these guys into this tank and treated the tank. And then I noticed that there was possibly the same thing on the pair that's in this one. So I did dose this whole tank as well, which used a lot of medication. But what it has done, it's kind of closed up the holes that you were seeing before, like hole in the head on Chunks right at the front. There's still a little bit there, and that's closing up, but there were bigger ones and a lot more of them. So I got like a general treatment that sort of covers everything, and it seems to work really well, and he's looking absolutely beautiful. Great coloration on him. He seems really content in this tank. Now it's going through a diatom phase, which is, that happens with every new aquarium, and a ton of the plants, as a result, the bottom leaves that aren't getting enough light have sort of fallen off and died and created quite a little bit of mulm. But that seems to be working well for the fry. So I've not cleaned it. I've not done anything to the tank. Whilst the fry are in there, I'm just going to completely leave it and give them the best chance. If it doesn't work out this time, like I said, I'll just, take them out, give them their own breeding tank, and I'm pretty sure it will work then. They're such good parents. It's just obviously going to be difficult with all of the tetras and Chunks on the prowl all the time. So basically, the amount of work done on the tank now in the first 11 days is 1 water change, which was instantly, don't know why I'm counting, that wasn't actually necessary. I only did it for aesthetic reasons, because filming a tank that's got tannins in is actually really hard. Like the camera doesn't know what white balance to pick, and you've got to try and anyway, that's just another story. So I did a water change, didn't need to do it, but I wanted to do it. You guys might want to as well. Not everyone wants like brown water in their tanks. It's good for the fish a lot of the time, and it's good for the plants. I mean, it brings the pH down, but quite a lot of people don't want to see that, because most people will walk in and go, oh, your tank is dirty, when it's actually really good. And then the second thing I've done work-wise is take out those plants. That's it for 11 days, and the tank is looking great. So far, I'd say that's pretty darn self-sufficient. And now that I know the plants are like bedded in, the roots are obviously taking up nutrients, because crypts and things like that are growing. Well, they don't really feed from the water column, so they must be getting the nutrients. I'm going to add some fertilizer now after day 11. Just 1 whole capful, and that should be enough. Now, this is still work, isn't it? Adding that in is work. It's something to remember. So at some point, probably within the next week or so, I'm going to get an auto doser to go with the auto top up and the auto feeder when the fish are in as well. So truly self-sufficient. So I set these cool little nano jars up about 2 weeks ago, and a few people were asking like for an update, how are they doing? Well, what you just saw then was the only thing I've done to them in 2 weeks. Everything is pretty much going to plan. I mean, the shrimp are still doing well. They are in that one as well. I just saw them swimming around, but they can hide a lot easier. The only thing, this water here has gone green because of the change in light, I guess, because it was on the windowsill, which actually received less light because of the film on the back that this one here is producing. But to be honest, I quite like it. It looks quite cool, doesn't it? And there's tons of life in there as well. There's little water fleas, I think like Daphnia and all stuff like that. So some of the immersed leaves that are on the plants have now sort of come off, and there's bits and stuff floating around. And that's the same on this tank as well. So they can be just scooped out. But other than that, everything's going so well. I thought this plant would dry out. It is a little bit, but the newer growth coming through has sort of adapted to it. The Rotala bonsai is not doing too great, but all the other plants absolutely fine with the change in humidity, I guess. And the Lobelia cardinalis, always sounds like a magic spell, growing out the top really nicely. Some leaves have come off as well, so they need scooping out. But other than that, it's perfect. Love these little jars. That's it. Maintenance done. And the latest addition to the studio is doing really well. This tank's now a week old. I only released a video about 3 days ago, but it's actually been running for now nearly 7 days, 6 days. And so far so good. Now, whenever you use Sirius stone, you tend to get a little bit more diatoms than other times. I'm not entirely sure why. Some people think it's linked to the silicates in the water, especially with pool filter sand as well. But so far, I'm not seeing any signs of algae, and usually after a week, there would be some signs at least. So hopefully we've nailed the light in, we've got enough floating plants, we've got enough of the dwarf sage at the back looping over, that we've got just the right amount of light, and it won't be too bad. There's always going to be some. I mean, there's a good amount of snails that I put in here as well that you can just sort of see, you know, they're sort of everywhere dotted about. And they are very, very good at keeping down diatoms. They do eat it. And it's another reason why I like to keep lots of snails in all my tanks. You know, if you don't overfeed the tank, then they will just constantly go around and graze on the algae rather than food. And that also limits their population as well. But I love these fish. They're so cool. Really, really understated dwarf danios. And they constantly sort of school together, doing their own thing, always very active, something to look at all the time. So if you just sit back, there's stuff going on. Bottom of the tank, top of the tank. They go around the back. They sort of, in the morning in like sort of breeding time, they're going all around the reeds and everything like that. It's afternoon now, so they're not really doing that now. But in the morning, they're dying everywhere and chasing each other constantly. Really cool fish. I love this tank. Nice and simple. I deliberately set it up so it's something that everyone can replicate. Just a little pile of Sirius stone, some pond soil with some capping at the back, some little sticks. You know, it's not going to cost the earth, but it still gives a really natural, cool vibe. Yeah, I love this. If you want to see the build video, it's on my channel list of video list. Yeah, that's what it's called. Now, I understand the whole maintenance-free thing isn't what everyone's in a hobby for, and in fact, some people actually like going like fully complicated and loads of pruning and stuff like that. Now, I'm assuming they've only got 1 or 2 tanks. But for me, like my version of the hobby is all about just being able to sit back and enjoy it. I don't get massive amounts of enjoyment in the maintenance process, more the result of it. So if I can keep it looking as good as possible all the time without having to do anything to it, the sense of satisfaction that I get from that and creating the balance is what I really, really enjoy about the hobby. I'm not saying that's the only way to do it, and I'm not saying that's how you should do it, but you know, that's what I enjoy. And this whole thing is about documenting what I enjoy. And it's the only real way to make YouTube, I think. If you start doing stuff that other people want to enjoy than you don't, then you quickly will lose yourself. And I think that's a very, very bad idea. Anyway, self-sustaining tank, doing really well. I'll keep you updated, obviously, in the following days or whenever stuff happens. See you soon.